Welcome once again to this YouTube channel. Today we're going to look at how to open a sheet which is protected by a password. How do we ensure that we protect our sheet so that when we try to open, like when I try to open this sheet here, to go in there, then give me a prompt. In a minute, you're going to see the prompt. This is the prompt. So when I put nothing and I try to do OK, it says incorrect password. There you go. Then if I put a wrong password, it gives me incorrect password. Then when I put the correct password, it's going to allow me and it takes away the prompt. That's what we're going to be doing in this video. Stick with me. I'm going to take you step by step. To achieve this, we need to use Google App Script. You cannot achieve this without using Google App Script. I did a video on that. You can look at it to guide you what Google App Script is all about. Without further ado, let's get started. And I'm starting from 0. So let's create a new sheet. This is the one I'm gonna call it sheet protection, like so. And I need to put some data here, random names, like so. Now, to do this, as I said, we go to AppScript. It is under extensions, then AppScript. To open this dialog here, and here is where we're gonna write our code. It's okay. So let's delete everything that is here. Then we start from scratch. So I'm gonna take you step by step. Step 1, I'm gonna define the variables that I'm gonna use. Then in step 2, I'm gonna use the onOpen function. An onOpen function is the function that runs first when you click on your Google Sheet. Just like I clicked on the Google Sheet, the function that runs first is called onOpen. That function there is supposed to bring us the dialog that asks us where to put our password. Then after that, the details of what this function is going to run is going to put in this function called sheet, open sheet. Here is where I'm going to put the details. That would be my function number 3. Then my function number 4, I'll need that prompt, a function that gives me the prompt enter password, as we saw. So this will be a function called prompt for password, like so. Then number 5, if the password I've entered is wrong, I need another prompt, which will be show message. And this one will be telling me that my password is correct or incorrect. So let's start off by defining our variables. So the first variable I'm going to define is called sheet name. And this is the name of the sheet. And when I go back to my sheet here, the sheet is called sheet 1. So I'm going to put here sheet, ensure it is properly spelled, otherwise we're going to get errors. Then the next variable I'm going to define is the password, the correct password that I want my user to enter. And why I have to put this one here is because whatever password is entered, it's going to be checked against this password that I'm going to call pass. So it's going to check against this, and if it's correct, it will allow you. If it's not correct, then it is not going to allow you to access the sheet. Now, let's move on to the next set of functions that I have to define is one called onOpen. And I told you earlier, this is the function that's gonna be run when my Google Sheet opens. Okay, so when it opens, what do I want to do? I want to get access to the sheet, and I'm gonna call the sheet, the name sheet. And to get to access to the sheet, I use the Spreadsheet app in Google Sheets. Then I say get active sheet, active spreadsheet. You have to be careful here. Ensure you select spreadsheet. Then you need to get sheet by name. Be careful, there's also sheet name, but sheet by name. And the name of the sheet is the sheet that is defined in here, and it is stored in a variable called sheet name. So when I do that, I'll get access to my sheet. Now, it is good practice to check whether the sheet exists or it does not exist. So I'm gonna use the if a function. So I say exclamation mark. This one means that sheet is not in existence. If that sheet is not there, I need to start by checking that so that I don't waste time. If the sheet is not there, there's nothing I can do. I cannot continue, but I need to alert the user through the log, and this log should say sheet not found, like so. Okay. And when that happens, I need to use the word return. And what that return means is that whenever I use return, the program terminates at that point in time and does not continue. Because if there's no sheet, there's no point in continuing. So we have to stop there. Now, if it passes this level, and remember the code executes from up to down, you start by defining the sheet, the sheet, then it checks this. Then if this one is there, it will move to the next stage. And in this next stage, I'm gonna use the try catch function. And in this try catch function, I'm gonna run the code that I'm gonna define in the show sheet function. So I'm going to say show sheet. This is a function that does not exist, but I'm gonna define it in my next step. So I'm gonna define this function. Then I say catch, try catch function. It tries to run this function. And if there is an error, that error will be caught through this catch. So it takes a variable of error. Then if there's an error, please log out that error.log. And I'm gonna say, give me the error that if at all dot message, this one will give me the error. Okay. So what all I'm doing here, I'm gonna run this function, which I'm gonna define and tell you what it's going to be. If there's an error in that, to log out the error right here. So now let's go and see what this function is. Under this function, that's where we're going to define what is gonna happen. That is my step 3. So I'm gonna say define a function called show sheet, and it will take in a sheet there, like so. So let's see what this function will do. Now, as I said, I need to store the entered password. This function is gonna display, later on I'll be showing you, this function is gonna display a dialog box. And in that dialog box, it will be asking you for a password. And when you enter the password or you don't enter the password, whatever you entered, it's going to be stored in a variable that I'm defining right here called entered password. That's why I'm defining that variable. So I'm gonna use a while loop. A loop is something that is going to run over and over again. As long as it returns true, it's gonna continue running until you tell it to break. So as this function is running, it is going to say enter password. It's going to get the entered password, and that entered password is going to come from prompt for password, prompt for password. That's a function that I'm gonna define later on. Maybe let me define it at this point in time, which is under step 4. I'm gonna return to this later on. So let me first define what this function does. And what this function does, it is responsible for displaying the dialog box, which we are gonna use to enter our password. So whatever is entered, I want it to be returned. That's why I use the return function. And to display the dialog box, I'm gonna use this. Need to move down here. Browser, another utility function in AppScript. And I need to enter something, so I'm gonna use the input box. If you want a button, you use this. If you want to enter something, you use the input box. If you want to display a message, you use message box. So in my case, I want to enter something, and then let's try when it opens, what message should be displayed. I want a message say enter password, then comma. Now that dialog box should have some buttons on it. And when I look down here to get the button, I need to go to browser.buttons. So I say browser like so. Then I say dot, then buttons, then dot. If I want only a button which has the word OK, I just use this. If I want OK and cancel, I use this. If I want yes and no, yes, no, cancel, I use this one. But in my case, I'm gonna go with OK and cancel. So I click there. So this one gives me the dialog box. And when it displays the dialog box, if you want to see how it will show up, let me go to my earlier one that I used when I was opening this video. This is the dialog box that I mean. Wait a minute, it is gonna display. This is the box. It will have enter password on top. It has cancel, my buttons, and OK, and my input box where I'm gonna put the password. Okay, let's go back. So when it displays this and I enter my password, I'm saying return whatever is entered. That's why I use this return here. Now, when it returns there, I call this function right here, and whatever is entered is gonna be stored in this variable called entered password, which I defined up here. Okay, now I'm inside the while loop. So there are a number of things what are the possibilities that can happen? One possibility is I need to check whether someone has entered anything, because someone can trick you and they don't enter anything. So I'll check whether the value that they have entered, remember it is stored in this entered password, if it is equal to null. If it is equal to null, I need to throw an error by using this, throw error, like so. I'm going to say access denied, or whatever you want to put in there. That is one possibility. So if it throws the error, then it will jump out of this if function, and later on it will go down, and then it will show a message showing incorrect password. And that incorrect password, maybe let me show, I want a message to show, showing incorrect, show message. Now this show message is going to bring a dialog box which shows incorrect password, a dialog box like this one here. So how do we create this dialog box? This dialog box is going to be created in another function under 5. So I'm going to define here another function which says show message, like so. And this function is only for showing a message. And remember, like I told you previously, we use the browser utility. When I put a dot, there are 3 of them. If I just want to show message box, so I select that. And in there, I'll indicate what message. Let me say it will take in a message, and the message I input here is what will be displayed. Okay? So what am I saying? I'm saying that I'm going to run the input prompt for the password. The password will be entered. It will display in this entered password. It will be saved in this entered password variable. I'll use that variable to check whether anything has been entered. And if nothing has been entered, it will throw an error. The moment it throws an error, what happens is it is going to stop running this and then come out of the if function. And when it comes out of if function, it finds this function here saying show message. And remember, this show message is a function that will run, which is defined down here, and to return whatever message is input here. So this one needs a message, which I'm gonna to input here, and I'm gonna say incorrect password. Okay? Now let's also look at the possibility where the password is correct. If the password is correct, we are gonna run another if function. We're going to say check if the password entered. We use 3 of them and say, does it equal to our password that we saved at the beginning, which is saved in a variable called password. Where if you have forgotten where this one is, it is at the start of our code here. Here I defined it and said that the password I want to open my spreadsheet is called pass. So I stored it in this variable here. Now, when I come down here, all I'm doing, I'm checking whether the password they have entered through this prompt function, which is defined down here. This one brings up the prompt, you enter it, whatever is entered is returned. And when it is returned, it is saved in this variable here. Now I'm using this saved variable to check whether it is equal to the password, and the password that I want is saved here. If the two are the same, then what do I want to happen? What I want to happen is to break out outside of this loop, and then the program continues. Because if it does not break up out of this loop, it's going to continue showing incorrect password dialog. So I need to use the word break, and what the break does, says stop, get outside of this loop. Remember, this one throws an error, it gets outside of this if function, continues here, checks this. If this one is also incorrect, it continues in and shows a dialog which is called incorrect password. When it shows incorrect password, it will continue showing the while, come back here, then it will show the prompt again. You enter, and it will continue like so. So as you continue entering wrong passwords, it will go on and on, giving you the prompt each time. You enter a wrong password, displays a wrong password, then comes back here, gives you a prompt again, like that, like that. So it will continue like that until you enter the right password. When you enter the right password, then it will meet this word break. Now what this break does, it gets out of this loop. And when it gets out of this loop, then it will continue and give you access to the spreadsheet for you to do whatever you want to do. So that is how our code is gonna be running. And with that, I need to save and run it for the first time. When you run, it will ask you for permissions. Then you have to allow, advanced, and save, allow. Then it executes, but it's saying continuous. Let's see whether, there you go. It says now enter password. I'm not going to enter password. It says incorrect password, so it is still within that while loop. So when I say okay, it is still in the while loop. It comes back and say enter password again. This is what I was trying to explain, that it will continue in the while loop until you enter the correct password. So it will continue running. Incorrect password, it comes back here. You put an incorrect password, it says incorrect password, come back like so. So what you're witnessing is what is happening here. Now the next demonstration, I'm gonna put a wrong password. Then again, it comes and shows incorrect password. I say, okay, it comes back again, enter password again. So that loop will continue until you enter the correct password. Now, the correct password, if you remember in my code, I defined it as pass, this one here. So now if I enter this pass, then it is going to break. I enter the pass here, then it breaks through the loop, then it gives me the access to the spreadsheet, and then it stops giving me that dialog of incorrect password and prompting me for the password. I hope this has been helpful. This is a way how you can protect your sheet in case you wanted to put a password on it. Thank you for watching. If you're watching my videos and you find them helpful, I think it is in order to subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. And if you have liked the video, it has helped you in your work, please like the video to support this channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Have a great day.